my very best. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
basically,
mean,
you're right. That those first bits there, I read a lot of firsthand accounts. I read a lot
yeah,
of these old timey colonial papers and whatnot, and then I kind of used my own brain and turned it into modern day language. And I do that
yeah. I
throughout a lot of the
mean,
book.
it's masterfully done, and I mean that. I mean, it is. It's such a
Thank you.
fun, fast read. Like there are few books out there that I'll pick up and be like, oh, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. Right. Like a lot of it's philosophy. Whether it's out of Cato or Mises or wherever. Right. And you're sitting there like, oh, fuck, this is boring. This is boring. This is what libertarianism needs. This is that shot of culture through storytelling that we've been terrible at in the past, and to bring to life that the kind of fast forward, I guess, to one of the incidents between Dr. Moore, the guy that 88 helps out, 88 being the main character, beautifully done, by the way. Was it Irwin, the guy that he saves on the
Yes,
street?
Irwin.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Irwin, he saves on the street. He takes him to this Dr. Moore's place, and they start having conversations.
Yeah, he just starts talking to him like a person, and he starts having 88, who's the slave, helping him, and he's asking him, why are you doing this? And he's trying to get to the root of it because he knows there's some reason there. And long story short, 88 helps him, ends up telling Irwin, hey, I'm going to come back. I'm going to see you again. And Dr. Moore is like, why would you do that? He's nothing to you. And he's like, well, because he's a friend of mine now. I promised him I have to come back. And he's also kind of concerned at the same time because he doesn't know why he was just getting beat up. He has no clue. So he, if I remember correctly, he goes to leave, and him and Dr. Moore have one final exchange where he's like, well, what's your name? And he's like, I'm 88. And he's like, well, when are you going to get a name? And he's like, not till I'm free. And it's like, well, no one knows when that's going to be. And that's kind of the whole crux of the book, is for the author to figure out, amongst a lot of other things, when is 88 actually free, at what point?
Yeah, and I'm not going to spoil the ending, and maybe we'll kind of leave it there. But I thought it was very interesting that both Irwin and Dr. Moore were like, "Hey, listen, we're going to work on that name thing, and give you basically some personhood, right?"
Yeah, and you really see that relationship build throughout the whole book. They really become a tight-knit family, and without giving too much of the story itself away, at one point they really are family. They're all they have, and they're fighting against the government. They're trying to make a life for themselves. They're battling real world, normal day hardships, and they're all they have. And they're the most ragtag group you can imagine. It's this guy who's being arrested and sentenced to death for not paying taxes, with his old sick wife, and then some brand new freed-ish slave who's still kind of property. So it's just this, and there's so many tangents that get happened on with, different characters you meet who are real world stories, like George Floyd is in there, Duncan Lemp is in there. There's just so much going on. It's like every time you think you know exactly what just happened, there's something you missed.